Imagine this, you're standing in front of a woman you can't stop thinking about. She laughs at your jokes, leans in when she talks, and her eyes lock on yours like you're the only man in the room. You feel like you've won something rare, something most men don't get to feel. But here's the dangerous truth. It's not her you're addicted to. It's the feeling she gives you. And that's where she already has the upper hand. Because feelings can be manufactured, fed in doses, and pulled away when it benefits her. That's how men become addicted without even realizing it. The trap starts small. She texts you out of nowhere, just when you were starting to forget her. She laughs at your story like it's the funniest thing she's ever heard. She compliments your style, your voice, your energy, and you don't see it yet. But she's building a mental association in you. Her attention equals your worth. Then, without warning, she disappears. No texts, no calls, no Instagram likes. You start wondering if you did something wrong, and that's the moment she knows you're hooked. This isn't love, it's conditioning, like a slot machine that sometimes pays big and sometimes gives nothing. Your brain starts chasing the payout, not because it's rational, but because inconsistency is addictive. When her attention is on you, it feels like oxygen. When it's gone, you're gasping. You start texting first. You start sending memes you hope will make her laugh. You reply instantly, even when you're busy. You stop noticing you're not living your life anymore. You're orbiting hers. Here's the thing. Most men miss. Women who understand this dynamic can control you without raising their voice, without arguments, without threats. They control you with absence. They've learned that a man desperate to get the feeling back will work harder for it than a man who already has it. That's why she gives you a taste, pulls away, then gives you just enough to keep you chasing. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it's subconscious. But intentional or not, the effect is the same. You lose the power to walk away. If you want to break this, you have to see it in real time. Watch for when her warmth suddenly turns cold without reason. Pay attention to how quickly she responds when you pull back compared to when you're chasing. Test it. Stop initiating for a week. If her interest fades to nothing, you weren't important, you were convenient. And if you find yourself restless, checking your phone, rereading old messages just to feel close to her again, that's your sign you're not in love. You're in withdrawal. The strategy here is not to confront her. It's not to demand answers or force her into consistency. That only shows her how much you need the hit. The strategy is to cut off the supply yourself before she does. That means you decide when to end the conversation. You decide when to put your phone down. You decide when you don't respond until the next day. At first, it feels like punishment to her and to you. But over time, it flips the dynamic. She starts wondering what you're doing. She starts checking your social media. She starts giving more to keep your attention because now you're the one who can take it away. Here's a simple example. A friend of mine, Mark, was seeing a woman who had him completely spun. She'd send long voice notes one day, then vanish for 3. He'd stay up until 1 a.m. hoping for her text. And when she finally sent one, he'd drop everything to reply. I told him to stop responding immediately and to wait until the next afternoon, not with a cold, "Hey," but with a casual, upbeat message that made no reference to her delay. Within a week, she doubled her effort. Within 2, she was chasing him. Why? Because the uncertainty had shifted. Now she was the one waiting. Addictive types always think they can handle it, that they're in control because they're choosing to stay. But if her absence changes your mood, she's holding the steering wheel. You can't build masculine strength on a leash. The leash might be invisible, but it's there every time you feel your mood sink because she didn't text back. Every time you start over-analyzing what you said. Every time you break your own rules just to get a reaction. So, the first sign you're the addictive type. You mistake intermittent attention for genuine connection. And until you can tell the difference, you'll keep falling for the same cycle. The cure isn't to find a woman who never pulls away, that's rare. The cure is to make sure you are the one who can walk away without looking back. Have you ever chased a woman harder after she started pulling away? What happened when you finally got her attention back? Did you ever notice it didn't last? Which part of this cycle do you see yourself in right now? Be honest in the comments. The next sign you're the addictive type is that you give more than you get, not because you want to, but because you're trying to keep the connection alive. You tell yourself you're just a generous man. You think this is what a good guy does. But underneath, there's a quiet panic, the fear that if you stop giving, she'll stop wanting you. This is where a lot of men confuse effort with value. You start doing little favors for her, running errands, paying for every meal, being available whenever she needs to talk. At first, she smiles, thanks you, maybe even gives you affection in return. But then, something changes. The gratitude fades. She starts expecting it. And when you give more, she doesn't see generosity, she sees dependency. You're proving to her over and over that you need her approval to feel important. The cruel truth in dating, when a man gives too much without balance, it doesn't make him more attractive, it makes him replaceable. She can find another man to do those things. What she can't find easily is a man whose value doesn't come from his willingness to please. That's why overinvesting turns into quicksand. The more you give without boundaries, the less she respects what you give. You'll notice this pattern if you pay attention to the trade-off. When you plan a date, does she make an effort to contribute? When you send a thoughtful message, does she ever send one first? If the answer is always no, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance, and performances are exhausting. Let me give you a scenario. A guy named Jason I knew would always drive across town to see a woman he was interested in. She'd text him late at night, "I miss you," and he'd grab his keys, drive 40 minutes, and be at her door. The first few times, she was thrilled, but soon, she stopped inviting him over. She just expected he'd come when called. And when he finally stopped showing up, she didn't chase him. She just found someone else who would. Jason didn't lose her because he wasn't good enough. He lost her because he trained her to expect his time and energy on demand without earning it. The strategy here isn't to play games. It's to make sure your actions reflect your standards, not your fear of losing her. If she cancels plans last minute, don't offer to reschedule immediately. If she only calls when she's bored, stop answering right away. When you stop rewarding lazy behavior with full effort, you force her to either step up or step out. Either way, you win because you're no longer pouring into someone who's giving you drops in return. Men who are addictive types often think, but what if she thinks I don't care? That's exactly the point. If she thinks you don't care and she leaves, she was only there because you cared too much. If she stays, she'll start showing you she values you, not just your effort. Here's something else to notice if the idea of pulling back makes you anxious. That's a sign you've already given too much control away. When you're centered, you don't panic at the thought of her walking. You know you're worth more than what you're getting. That's when you stop overgiving. Not because you want to punish her, but because you respect yourself enough to save your energy for someone who matches it. This is where most men fail. They think boundaries are selfish. They think saying no will make them lose the woman. But boundaries are the exact thing that keep attraction alive. A man with no limits isn't loving, he's disposable. A man who can say no without explanation creates space for her to actually value his yes. If you're wondering how to apply this right now, start with one rule: never give more than you're receiving over time. This doesn't mean counting every gesture. It means checking in with yourself. Do you feel energized by this connection or drained? If it's drained, pull back 30%, then watch. If she fills that space, you've found balance. If she doesn't, you've found your answer. You can't be the addictive type and expect to win in relationships, because addiction requires you to keep feeding something that gives less and less over time. When you stop overgiving, you start seeing who's actually there for you and who's just there for what you provide. That clarity is priceless. Have you ever caught yourself doing more for a woman than she's done for you? What happened when you pulled back? Did she step up or drift away? Share your story. I want to see how many men have been through this exact test. Another sign you're the addictive type is that you can't sit with silence. When she doesn't text back, you feel it like a weight in your chest. You start crafting reasons in your head. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she didn't see it. Maybe you said something wrong. And before you know it, you're sending another message, or a meme, or a question just to get her attention again. This is one of the easiest ways for a woman to gauge your self-control, by seeing how you handle space. If she can make you restless just by going quiet, she knows she can use that silence as a lever. It's a test, whether she's aware of it or not. And when you fill the silence every time, you fail it, because it tells her you're not comfortable unless she's validating you. The truth is, silence is one of the most powerful tools in modern dating for both men and women. Women use it to create curiosity, to test your patience, and to see if you'll break your own frame. And if you're the addictive type, you'll always break first. You'll send that double text. You'll comment on her story just to be seen. You'll trade your dignity for the hit of reassurance that she still cares. A man I know, Daniel, was dating a woman who was a master of this. She'd reply instantly when she wanted something from him, then vanish for hours or days when the conversation wasn't about her. He couldn't stand it. He'd start with, "Hey, how's your day?" No reply. 2 hours later, "Did you see that video I sent?" Still nothing. Then, "Is everything okay?" That's 3 messages in less than a day, and the second she responded, "Hey babe, sorry, just busy," all the tension drained from him. He felt relief, but she felt something else control. Here's the strategy to flip this. First, decide your response time before you even open her message. If you see her name and you feel that rush, stop, wait an hour, or 2, or until you've done something productive. This isn't about punishment, it's about rewiring your own need for instant validation. Second, when she goes quiet, match it. Don't fill the space with your anxiety, fill it with your life. Go train, go work, go out with friends. Make the silence mean something different to you, not loss, but opportunity. This is where most men get uncomfortable, because they've been told silence means disinterest. But here's the truth. If a woman's interest dies because you didn't text her for a few hours, she was never truly interested in you to begin with. Interest that's real can handle space. An attraction actually grows in absence, but only if you let it breathe. You need to think of silence like oxygen in a fire. Too much constant fuel, constant talking, constant texting, and the flame burns out. But give it space, and the oxygen makes it stronger. When you stop panicking over the quiet moments, you not only keep her guessing, you prove to yourself that you're not dependent on her attention for your peace. There's a deeper layer here too. When you can sit in silence without reaching for her, you discover how much of your attraction was built on the chase, not the connection. Sometimes you'll realize you don't even like her that much, you just like the way she made you feel wanted. And that's the most dangerous addiction of all, because it's not about her. It's about your own ego. If you want to test whether you're the addictive type, try this. Go 3 days without initiating any contact, not as a trick, but as an experiment. Watch what happens. Does she reach out? Does she notice? More importantly, how do you feel? If you're agitated, restless, or tempted to accidentally bump into her online, you've found the part of yourself that needs to be rebuilt. because a man who can go silent without suffering is a man who can't be controlled. And here's the kicker: when you master silence, you stop attracting women who rely on manipulation to keep you hooked. You start attracting women who are drawn to your calm, to your independence, to your ability to hold your own. That's when dating stops feeling like a constant negotiation for attention and starts feeling like an exchange between equals. Have you ever broken your own rule and texted her first just because you couldn't stand the silence? How did she respond? Did it pull her closer or push her further away? Drop your experience in the comments. I guarantee other men here have felt the exact same thing. The next sign you're the addictive type is that you romanticize the highs and forget the lows. You replay the nights she was all over you, the way she looked at you across the table, the moments when her attention made you feel invincible. You cling to those memories like proof that what you have is special, and in doing so, you conveniently ignore the times she's pulled away, gone cold, or left you questioning your worth. This is what keeps men locked in toxic dynamic selective memory. Your brain edits the past to protect your feelings, and it feeds you only the highlights. It's the same mechanism that keeps gamblers pulling the slot machine lever after losing 100 times, because they're chasing that one big win. In relationships, that win might be a weekend away where she's affectionate and present, or a night where she opens up to you emotionally. But if those moments are surrounded by weeks of distance, disrespect, or mixed signals, they're not proof of love, they're bait. Here's the dangerous part: when you live for the highs, you start tolerating anything to get back to them. She can flake on you, insult you, disappear for days, and you'll excuse it all because you're waiting for the next rush. You stop setting standards, you start lowering them, and in that state, she doesn't have to treat you well consistently, she just has to give you enough to keep you hooked. I knew a guy named Alex who was in this exact loop. His girlfriend would go out without telling him, ignore his texts all night, and then 2 days later show up at his place with his favorite food, acting like nothing happened. And just like that, he'd melt. He told me once, "Yeah, she's been distant lately, but when she's good, she's amazing." That was his trap. The amazing moments blinded him to the pattern, and the pattern was that she gave just enough to keep him addicted, but never enough to make him secure. The strategy to break this is brutal but necessary. Write it down. Not the good moments, the bad ones. Every time she disrespects your time, ignores you without reason, or makes you feel small, put it in writing. After a month, read it back. You'll see the truth in black and white, without the fog of nostalgia. Because when you face the full pattern, you can't romanticize it anymore. Then, compare that list to what you're giving her. Are you consistent? Are you showing up even when she's not? If the answer is yes, you've confirmed the imbalance. That's when you stop chasing the highs and start demanding consistency. Not with words, with actions. If she gives you 3 days of silence, you give her 3 days of your life without her in it. If she cancels twice in a row, you stop rearranging your schedule to see her. Here's the truth most men don't want to admit. The rush you're chasing is not love. It's relief. Relief that she's paying attention again. Relief that you're not being ignored. Relief that you still matter to her. But if you only feel secure when she's giving you that high, you're not in control. She is, and she can take it away anytime she wants. Breaking that cycle requires you to become comfortable with flat lines. Not every interaction should be a peak. Real relationships are steady, not a roller coaster. And if steady feels boring to you, that's a sign you've trained your nervous system to crave chaos. It's not love that's pulling you in. It's addiction to emotional volatility. When you stop chasing the high, you give yourself a chance to see if there's anything real left when the excitement fades. If there is, that's worth building on. If there isn't, You'll finally have the clarity to walk away without looking back because you'll know you were never in love with her, only with the way she made you feel in fleeting moments. Have you ever stayed in something too long because you couldn't let go of the good memories? What happened when you finally looked at the whole picture? Did it change how you saw her or how you saw yourself? Be honest in the comments. Another sign you're the addictive type is that you mistake emotional intensity for emotional depth. You think the arguments, the jealous moments, the passionate makeups mean your bond is strong. You tell yourself, we just feel things more than other people. But that's not depth, that's volatility. And volatility burns hot, but it doesn't last. When every interaction is charged, whether it's love or conflict, you start to confuse chaos with connection. You begin to think that if it's not intense, it's not real. So when things calm down, instead of feeling safe, you feel restless. That's when you poke at her, start unnecessary conversations, or bring up old issues just to get the energy back. And without realizing it, you train both of you to believe that drama is proof you care. The problem is that intensity blinds you to compatibility. You can have fireworks with someone who's completely wrong for you. In fact, it often happens that way. The wrong person can trigger your deepest insecurities, which keeps you hooked, because every high feels like winning back a part of yourself. But that's an illusion. You're not winning anything. You're just resetting the same cycle. A man I once coached, Ryan, was in this exact trap. He'd tell me about nights where he and his girlfriend screamed at each other for hours, then ended up in bed like nothing happened. He swore they were soulmates because no one else gets me that worked up. But when I asked him about the quiet moments, he realized there weren't any. They didn't have inside jokes. They didn't share goals. They didn't even spend time together without alcohol. The relationship existed entirely in extremes, and extremes are addictive, but they're not sustainable. The strategy here is to measure the space between the highs and lows. A healthy connection has more middle ground than extremes. If your entire relationship feels like either a movie climax or a complete collapse, you're not building intimacy, you're chasing adrenaline, and adrenaline fades. To break the addiction, you have to stop feeding it. That means resisting the urge to escalate every time you feel bored. When she goes quiet, you don't provoke her. When she's short with you, you don't match it with more fire. Instead, you bring it back to calm. At first, it will feel wrong, like you're losing something. But what you're really losing is the instability that kept you hooked. Another tactic: replace emotional spikes with shared stability. This could mean planning something together that has nothing to do with romance, a hike, a project, a skill you both want to learn. Watch how she reacts. If she's only engaged when there's drama or high emotion, you've just learned something crucial: she's addicted to the same volatility you are. And two addicts can't keep each other sober. Here's the part most men avoid if you find peace boring. It's not because peace is dull, it's because you've spent so long in chaos that calm feels empty. That's your work to do. You have to retrain yourself to value consistency, to find satisfaction in the quiet. Because in the quiet, you can actually see her, not the version of her you fight for or the version you melt for, but the real her. And that's where you find out whether you're in love with the person or just the cycle. When you can handle peace without needing to create chaos, you stop being the addictive type. You stop being someone who needs constant stimulation to feel connected. And that's when you gain the one thing women can't fake and men can't buy: emotional stability. It's not flashy, but it's what makes people stay. Have you ever mistaken drama for passion? Did you ever feel restless when things were too calm? What happened when you tried to break that pattern? Share it in the comments. You might be surprised how many men have lived that exact story. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.